It's nationalist versus globalist. If you're a globalist, you don't care who comes here and why, because we all share the same planet. We're all one country is kind of the mentality that they're working toward. If you're a nationalist, think America first, then you kind of prioritize this country and go, well, what about us? What's in our best interest?
The United States-Mexico border is roughly 2,000 miles long. According to Customs and Border Patrol, on the day that President Donald Trump took office, there were roughly 1,350 miles of border that had zero barrier, and roughly 650 miles of border that had a combination of slats, roadblocks, concertina wire, or some form of fencing. Today, after 3 years of Donald Trump serving as president, there are still roughly 1,350 miles of border that have zero barrier, and roughly 650 miles of border that have a combination of slats, roadblocks, concertina wire, or some form of fencing. Recent reports by Customs and Border Patrol admit that the Trump administration has only constructed 81 miles of barrier, mostly steel slats ranging from 18 feet to 30 feet high, built in the 650 miles of area where some form of barrier already existed. This is often referred to as replacement barrier. The Trump administration has not built any barrier in the 1,350 miles of border where no barrier currently exists. Recent reports say that Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law, is going to be taking over the White House marketing for the border. Their goal is to have 400 miles, including the 81 miles already constructed, completed by the end of the calendar year 2020, not by the 2020 election. But the majority of this 400 miles will only be replacement barrier and will not address the 1,350 miles where no barrier currently exists. As reported by Breitbart News in October of 2019, based on statistics provided by Customs and Border Patrol, the apprehension of migrants who crossed the border into the United States reached 1.1 million during fiscal year 2019. More than 850,000 crossed into the United States illegally. Of those, nearly 500,000 of the migrants were family units. The apprehension of migrants illegally crossing the border is at the highest level since 2007, when agents apprehended 858,638. This is dangerous. We are being invaded. At Team Ducote, we have developed a solution. We are working with experts. We are working with Middle America to bring you the solution to invasion, which is war. W for Wall, a TerraBlock solution system which can be rapidly deployed across the 1,350 miles that currently have no barrier. TerraBlock tells us that they can provide the system for under $1 billion, and this can be deployed by the Army Corps of Engineers, who we are already paying. A for Alarm, a PID, P-I-D, Perimeter Intrusion Detection System, a smart technology which would allow Customs and Border Patrol agents as well as National Guard to know when someone is trying to breach the system. And R for Responders, Manpower. We propose a National Guard rapid response team placed every mile along the 1,350 miles we are addressing. A 6-man team working in 8-hour shifts, 3 shifts per day, would only be roughly 25,000 National Guard. We can stop this problem. President Trump can do this through an executive order. He can do this by deploying National Guard through federal command, and he can do this with the money that has already been allocated through the Department of Defense. At Team Ducote, we are looking to provide solutions to securing our border and securing our sovereignty. We will work with other veterans, law enforcement, angel families, and any other Americans willing to get on board with a solution-based proposal. This is an invasion. We will bring the war.
Hello, American patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code DOUG for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues. We're back with Mr. John Jensen. He's the author of Fix the Nation. John, welcome to the program.
How you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great. with you being new to the show and new to our audience, I'd
Mhm.
like you to just kind of introduce yourself to the audience and give us a little bit about your background and research on immigration and overall, everything you're doing there.
Kind of how I got started. You got it. I founded fixthenation.com about 2010. I've always been interested in politics in a general sense. The Obamacare, I will call it the fiasco, the process of shoving that albatross onto the American people was offensive to me, the process they used. And I went from being kind of a interested bystander to a very active participant in finding solutions for this country because I just got so frustrated. So I'll call it my triggered moment. Since then, I've written several books politically, which are fixnation.com, Why Go Conservative, Reality USA, which is about the Trump agenda, One Grand Bargain for the Fiscal Crisis back in 2013, when I could fix the math by 2045. It's insane. That was 13 trillion with the debt back then. Immigration specifically, I'm one of those guys who I've read every single immigration act since the beginning of this country back in 1790. I believe in solving things and fixing things. I don't play blame. I don't look in the rearview mirror and wonder how we got here. I deal with the pieces we have, and I try to pragmatically, in a conservative way, come up with solutions about all the issues of our day. I've got two boys. I fight for them because the country that we're going to leave them is I want to have an active role in making that country the best country we can. And immigration would be one of the hot button tickets. Sure.
Well, amen. What are some of the solutions that you're proposing right now?
Wow. It's a long list. I'll go back to the 2016 election for a smidgen.
Sure, please.
Trump was talking about build the wall. That was his big banner moment. She was families first. So he focused on America first and a wall. She focused on the immigrant and the family unit that's coming to America. Neither one of those are a true solution to everything about immigration. Immigration has about 40 to 50 deep-rooted issues that unless we have comprehensive immigration reform, which yes, would have to be bipartisan, you're not going to fix it. You can build a wall. There are so many other aspects of immigration that are deep. You're just going to have continuing issues. And a little bit about the history of the country. We used to be a creditor nation. We're not anymore. We're a debtor nation. We used to have a willingness and an ability to let people just simply come to our country, whether you were an illegal, a legal, or a refugee immigrant. It didn't matter. We were the beacon on the hill. That's a good thing. But we were a creditor nation. We could afford all those people in all those ways to come here, and we had a place for you. Then we had things of we switched to a debtor nation. Now the cost piece became a concern. Then we had 9/11, which now becomes a national security issue potentially. So now we are at the crossroads of several issues of we are still a wonderful, diverse country and melting pot. We have to celebrate that. But we have to tighten up who comes here and why. We have to rethink who are our allies in this world and who comes to our country. And again, immigration historically is not something where it's just a blank check. Early 1900s, we screened people out for influenza because we want to protect our shores from people coming with a disease that would help kill millions. So we had to protect ourselves. Later on in the 19th century, or 20th century, we had communism, and we screened people out for that reason. We've done quotas, we've done sponsors, we've done a lot of different things in our history of, I will call it the evolution of immigration. The first Immigration Act was you had to be a white man in good standing. I'm glad we came off that one premise, all right, and opened the doors of this wonderful, great country of ours. But we do have to rethink things. Illegal immigration has to go way down. Legal immigration should be increased because there is an economic offset there, and we do have a need for both diversity and workers in this country that can do things that we are not able to do for ourselves yet. And they're wonderful, wonderful. Immigration, Hispanics are about 85% of the sole businesses that get created are Hispanic businesses. I mean, it's just crazy, the numbers of immigrants that are just investing in the country. They're not bad people. Who comes here, how they come here is a process we have to comprehensively fix and get in line with everything else that we have in America. And we have a whole bunch of issues. Of course, they're distracted with impeachment right now, but that's another topic.
I like the way you talk about there's a big difference in immigration from when we had money and when we don't have money. And,
of course.
And this is a lot of people don't realize, they look at it as in the moment. Immigration problem here in America, when it wasn't a problem many, many, many years ago, it became a problem over generations and administrations that got us where we're at right now. And, I hope that we see solutions and problems. And, as you saw, we're working with this terror block system is just one way, but there are so many ways that we can address our immigration issues. And like you said, we want people to come to America. I mean, we're all immigrants. Okay. We want you to come here legally, and we want you to help us thrive, to have the money to help make this country the best it can be.
Correct. And see, we have a battle going on in Washington and throughout the country. It's nationalist versus globalist. If you're a globalist, you don't care who comes here and why, because we all share the same planet. We're all one country is kind of the mentality that they're working toward. If you're a nationalist, think America first, then you kind of prioritize this country and go, well, what about us? What's in our best interest? That's the healthy lens for any country to have about themselves. Who comes to France? Who comes to England? Who comes to America? Any country should think that way. It's not anybody comes here. It's, okay, hold on. In this day of the cost, the national security, etc., we have to make the process work for everyone, not simply the process work against who's already here. And that's a little bit of the conflict we face right now. And it's the battle, the bigger battle outside that. And I'm very much a process system habit person, because to get any true solution to work, you have to think the bigger picture, and then within that, fill the smaller gaps with what actually can get it done. The pragmatic side of me really takes over.
Outstanding. Hey, look, thank you very much. We're working to bring you back on. I hope you come back when we can do a longer show with you. Where can people find you that are interesting in
FixTheNation.com, at FixTheNation Twitter feed is the best way to connect. If you go to @FixTheNation on Twitter, all my other links are there. My books are available through Amazon if they have to, if they choose to, go give it a read, that kind of stuff. And I cover a lot of different grounds. I try to bring solutions. I do not have every answer. I don't have any illusions about that. Think about it as a starting point. I'm willing to discuss with anybody as far left or as far right as you want to get, okay, to have a solution-based conversation, civil discourse. I don't play blame. I don't get emotional. I don't tell you you're wrong or vice versa. If you want to have a discussion, I'll talk to anybody, but you have to be willing to have a true discussion, not stand and have a soundbite moment and just ideologue throw speech at me. I know what philosophical positioning is. That doesn't get it done, because in the end game of end games, it's like marriage. It takes a little bit of compromise to find a middle ground. You have to give a little to get a little. And I don't care what the topic is. Everyone has to give up a little something to get what they truly want in that big melting pot of whatever that issue is.
Amen. You said it great. Thank you so much, John. And we look forward to having you again, and I hope you have a blessed evening. Thank you.
You as well.